Welcome to Women Finding Clarity, the podcast that ignites your inner power and guides you on a journey to uncover the boundless potential of the universe in life and in business. I'm Pascale Cook-Fernandez, your host and life transformation coach. Join me each week as we align our energies, elevate our businesses, and thrive in every aspect of life. In each episode, we dive deep into topics like the secrets of raising your vibration, crafting irresistible offers, and amplifying your impact. Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, this podcast is your compass to navigate the realms of limitless success. If you are ready to align your energy, elevate your business, and truly thrive, subscribe to Women Finding Clarity now and get ready to embark on a life-changing journey. Until next time, stay empowered and keep seeking clarity. And remember, the universe is abundant and success is your birthright. Let's align, elevate, and thrive together, one conversation at a time. Hello, and welcome to Women Finding Clarity. As someone who is committed to helping you and entrepreneurs like you unlock your full potential and achieve your goals, I'm excited to extend a special invitation to an upcoming event that will be incredibly valuable to you, both in your personal life and in your business. I am thrilled to announce our first ever upcoming 5-hour intensive workshop, Wealth Mindset Mastery, that will help you thrive through strategic thinking and action. This upcoming event is happening on Friday, May 10th from 1 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This limited seating, immersive 5-hour intensive is designed to take you deep into your wealth creation and elevate your money mindset. In this hands-on workshop, you'll have the opportunity to gain valuable insights and practical strategies for cultivating a wealth mindset. You will identify so you can overcome limiting beliefs that may be holding you back from achieving true prosperity. I will teach you how to make strategic decisions to propel you towards your financial goals. You will engage in interactive exercises and activities that are designed to help you apply workshop concepts to your own businesses. And you will have the opportunity to connect with like-minded individuals and build a supportive network of allies who are committed to your success. This workshop is not just about learning, it's about transformation. Because this work requires a deep dive, it's important to me that you have the spaciousness that you need. Therefore, I have limited the number of participants to only 6. I encourage you to save your seat as soon as possible before they're all gone. Now, I will tell you, this 5-hour immersive experience is valued at over $1,000, but I'm offering it to you for only $297. That's a savings of over $700. This will be the last time that I'll be offering this transformation for this low price. So be sure to save your seat now by clicking on the link in show notes. I truly believe that this workshop has the power to change lives, and I can't wait to guide you through this transformative journey. I am here to support you every step of the way. Here's to your continued success and abundance. I can't wait to see you there. Speaking of continued success and abundance, I'm sure that you can hear that I've got a cold. We just got back from an amazing trip to Aruba, and somewhere along the way, I picked up a little head cold. And that's okay, because this trip to Aruba was transformative for me. I learned so many lessons, both for myself and for my business. One of those lessons being that it's important to take time to slow down, to just be. And to be honest with you, had I not had this head cold with me on the trip, I may not have slowed down as much as I did. I may not have had as much of a transformation as I did so quickly because it did force me to slow down, to allow myself to just be in the moment, to sit in the chair in the energy of the ocean, the abundant, beautiful opening energy of the ocean, and allow myself to not only take it all in, but also to be swept away. That's why I am so appreciative of my guest this week, who, when I emailed her and I said, I know that your podcast episode is supposed to drop on Thursday, but is it okay if it doesn't drop until Saturday? Because I just can't do all the things. I have to slow down and take time for my health. And she was so kind and just so supportive in allowing me to take the time that I needed, allowing me to kind of slow down, go within, and honor that space within myself that just needed time. And I can tell you that that's what it's like to work with this amazing woman. I recently asked my friend Dana, who is also dedicated to the success and abundance of others, to join me for a conversation to support all of you. Dana Weaver is a leadership and workforce solutions consultant, coach, and speaker who works with senior living and other aging service executives to improve their leadership around workforce. Dana focuses on driving retention, landing quality employees, and developing leadership to maximize unparalleled service and profit in your organization, even if it feels like a pipe dream today. With over 25 years in senior living space, Dana is a proven leader who has trained hundreds of individuals in leadership and workforce solutions. Her most recent role was focused on workforce and leadership at Leading Age Kansas, an association of nonprofit aging service providers in Kansas. She was an integral part of creating the Center for Leadership. She is a former nursing home administrator and is passionate about solving workforce problems in this space to create a sustainable future for anyone who may be in need of these services in the future. She received her bachelor's degree in business management from Kansas State University and a master's in nonprofit administration from Mid-America Nazarene University. She lives in Topeka, Kansas with her husband, two girls, and two fur babies. Without further ado, please help me welcome the amazing, the heartfelt Dana Weaver. Dana, welcome to Women Finding Clarity. I'm so excited that you're finally here.
I am so excited to be here too. Yes, we've tried this for a few months and it's just been something I've been looking forward to.
Me too. Honestly, I always tell people there's been many guests where we're month after month rescheduling, or our calendars just don't sync up, and it's all divine timing. And, my mom used to say, God rest her soul, it's all in the timing. And
Yeah,
she's right. Like, everything happens when it's supposed to.
that is true. That is so true. I have found
Yeah.
that to be very true recently.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest with you. I feel like really leaning into that idea of everything happens when it's supposed to and everything works out how it's supposed to takes so much pressure off.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. So today we are talking about you, and we're talking about other women in business and other women in leadership,
Mhm.
and what all that means and how we show up as women in leadership roles. And I'm super excited to jump right into it. So
Awesome.
a lot of what I talk to my clients about is really leaning into their life's PhD. How did
Uh,
they get from where they were to where they are now? So can you kind of give us the highlights of what really led you on this path to be where you are today?
sure. Thank you for the question. Um, I think my story in aging services starts back when I was a little girl. I bet I was 9 or 10 years old. And my great grandmother was in a nursing home in Arkansas. And she had been taken care of at home for a lot of years, but just got to the point where she couldn't stay there anymore. And the nursing home was not the best experience, and it was not a pretty sight. And when you'd walk in, the people were slumped over, and it just, there was no life there. And it smelled bad, and just all the bad things you can think of in a nursing home. That's what that nursing home was. And so we actually had people sitting with her around the clock to take care of her inside the nursing home. And I remember visiting her and having a great visit because she had such a great personality. And as we were walking out, I was holding my dad's hand and I looked up at him and I said, Dad, why is this place so horrible? Why does everybody look like this? And he looked down at me with a kind of a sad face and he says, I don't know, honey, but someday I hope you can change it. And we walked out, and that was one of those moments where you don't really think it's a big deal until you look back over your life. And I wanted to do many things in between that time and when I actually became a nursing home administrator. But I remember when I decided to become a nursing home administrator, my aunt, which was my great grandmother's daughter, um, told me, she's like, I don't know why you want to even get into anything like that. You saw the experience, you saw what was going on. This is not the right path for your life. And she was actually kind of mean about it and made me feel bad about it. And I just remember thinking, you're not going to tell me what to do. I'm going to go on and do whatever it is I want to do. This is my passion. I love working with older people. And so I did. I became a nursing home administrator at 24 years old. And I worked there for a few years. And then I got an opportunity to work for an association that served nursing homes and other providers in aging, like home health and hospice and assisted living, things like that. And it was just a really great job and something that I enjoyed because I knew that not only was I helping the people that were working in the nursing home and all the other providers, but I was helping all the people that were receiving services from them or living in the communities. And so it just gave me a good feeling to know that I was serving all of those people. And then last year, I had a fantastic opportunity to start my own business. And one of the things that I am really passionate about is leadership and aging and leadership for women, period, because I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow, and there's a lot of opportunity for us to take up space in a lot of different industries. And I like to support women to be able to do that. So I get to have my own business. I get to speak to audiences all over and talk about leadership and talk about how we show up as women and how it's really our divine right to stand up and kind of brush off all of our all of our imposter syndrome or all of our feelings of inadequacy and just stand up and stand in who we are so that we can lead.
Mm, So I just want to give you a big hug right now because the work that you're doing is so important. And you've clearly dedicated your entire life to this passion and to this purpose. And
Yeah.
so, you know, not only are you helping the providers, you're helping the clients, but you're also helping the families, right? Because imagine what a different experience you would have had, your father would have had your grandmother been having a better experience.
Yes, most definitely. Most
That
definitely.
that said, who knows where your life would have gone otherwise, but there's just something so admirable and noble, and it just fills my heart that you're taking care of our aging population, because as a culture, as a society, I feel like they're kind of just brushed off in the corner. Like their life experience doesn't matter anymore. They're frequently treated like children. They're kind of back to being seen and not heard.
Absolutely. And it breaks my heart too. And that's not true everywhere.
No.
Uh, but that's the image that a lot of us have in our minds because that is what we remember seeing when we were younger. Or, some of that is still happening today. And it breaks my heart. And that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. But I think that the change that's happened in the field is just so exciting. And there's much more to come because AI is starting to get infused, or artificial intelligence. And we're just learning new ways of caring for people where they want to be cared for. Because not everybody wants to go to a nursing home, right? But there are a lot of options out there now. And the one thing that we know about older people is they like to stay at home. They want to think that they can stay at home forever. And that's fantastic. And if you can do that, I say go for it. However, when you stay at home for a really long time and you don't have any interaction with anybody else except maybe the mailman or whatever, if there's not a lot of people coming to you, that is the fastest way to get depression and shorten your life. Community is what we need. And so that's why a lot of these communities have been built. And that is so that they can have connection with other people. And that's what gives us purpose. That's what keeps us um, excited for the next thing. It's just what kind of community that they're in and what has been kind of curated for them to experience while they're there.
So beautiful. And we have, a local community here that it's a community in itself. There's a gas station and there's a little grocery store and then all the condos, and that's just so amazing. And I love it's making staying at home more accessible.
It is. It's
Yeah.
so is. Because
So
home.
I want to talk about you for just a moment, because you truly are a woman leader. You truly are, someone who's such a great example of I have a passion in my heart. This is giving me a purpose, and I'm stepping out and I'm doing the hard thing to truly make an impact in the world.
Mm,
And I
it-
hope that you feel proud of yourself for that. And I'm certain that it's probably not always easy.
I am very proud of myself for that because if you would have asked me 5 years ago if I could do something like this, I would say maybe I want to, but I don't know that I have the confidence to do that. So thank you very much for that. And no, it's not always easy. Sometimes, especially when you're in a situation where you're an entrepreneur, a lot of times what you're doing is behind a camera, like we are. We may be talking with people online, but we don't always interact with people um, personally like we want to. So sometimes that might get a little lonely. And then that can get us really into our head and thinking that if we aren't getting enough traffic on social media or we aren't getting enough people into our programs, that maybe we're just not landing well. And what's really happening is people are seeing our stuff out there. It's just that we want to move the needle a lot faster because, like, I have a vision for disrupting aging services. I want to disrupt it because I've been in it for 24 years and or 25 years. And there's a lot of change that's happened, but not enough to where I feel like when I get there and when I need to utilize some of the services that I will be I will get to live my best life. There's a lot of options for me to live my best life, but I don't know that they're as widespread as we all need them to be. So that's kind of my passion. And something else that came up when you were saying what you said with me was my great grandmother was she didn't like men. I don't know why. I never really got to ask her. I didn't think at 9 and 10 years old to ask her that question, but she didn't like men at all. And she would talk a lot to family, but not in a big group or anything like that. And what kind of occurred to me at one point, and now that I think about it being full circle, is that I feel like I'm speaking for her where she didn't feel like she could speak. I don't feel like I think she had a lot of bad experiences just with men in general and the way life kind of ended up for her. And she was very, very special to me. And I feel like I am doing all of the things that she never got to do. And so that also gives me the fire to keep going because um, she was so amazing and so smart. And I am part of her, and part of her lives through me. So I'm gonna put that out to the world.
I love that. And that really brings up such an important point is in leadership, you truly need to know and understand your why.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I remember, and maybe you do too, the first time that Simon Sinek came out with Finding Your Why and his
Love,
book.
love Simon. Let me
Yes,
just say that I would just love to sit with him and have a cup of coffee and just shoot the breeze. That would be amazing.
it
Sorry,
would.
carry on.
Don't be sorry. I would love that too. We could just sit and talk with Simon all day. It would be fantastic. But it really gave me a picture of, my goodness, I really need to know what my why was. I was working for an organization that knew what their why was, but I never thought about it in terms of, okay, what's my personal why? I loved working for them. And then I realized my why was I like helping people. I love to help people any way that I can and solve problems for them. And so I remember they would, there would be an administrator, I guess, would call and they'd be having trouble with, say, a regulatory issue or whatever. And I could answer the question for them. And I remember the feeling of relief. You could just feel it over the phone about how helpful I was to them. And that just gave me the spark to want to keep going. And so I think when you know what your why is, leadership becomes very, very easy. When you don't know what your why is, you spend more time trying to figure out what that is in ways that really doesn't lead to your why. It's more, how do I become a better boss? How do I do this? How do I do that? Um, but knowing what your why is kind of this, it's like a strategic vision for an organization that we're all rowing towards. And when you know what your why is, it just keeps you focused on your path so that you don't go like this, you go more straight.
Yeah. And I think as entrepreneurs, it's so easy to fall into that imposter syndrome. And, you feel like, okay, I know my why and this is my path. And then you see, but this person's doing it this way. Maybe I should start doing it that way. Or this person is doing this. So maybe I should do this. Or maybe you have shiny object syndrome, right? And you need to do and add the next thing that you see that's coming out. For me, I feel like I'm a lifetime learner. I always want to be learning the next thing. And even that can pull you off of your path.
Oh, yes, definitely. It can. I'm so glad though that you said lifetime learner because I think as leaders, if we're not continually in a state of learning and trying new things, because the world is changing around us, we can't
So
stay
quickly.
stagnant. Yeah, and right now, more so than ever. Um, if we're not committed to learning something new all the time and being curious about the world around us and what we could bring to our leadership or our organization, um, I think that makes us stagnant, and I think that is the fastest way to lose credibility as a leader. Because if you're sticking with this is the way we've always done it, there may be some really good things to the what you've always done and you can bring that forward, but there's a lot changing around you that you also need to infuse in your leadership and in your organizations to make it better.
That is really great advice. And I'm wondering if you could even go another step further. And, how can we implement the new things and not be, just stuck in concrete the way we've always done it? How can we implement the changes without getting overwhelmed by everything that's changing?
I think that's a fantastic question. And I would say that it boils down to the idea of um, your fear. and talking about imposter syndrome, because a lot of the reasons that we don't change and we stick to our guns in certain situations is we're scared of what happens on the other side. We don't know what happens on the other side, and we're frightened about that. And so when we can do what we've always done because we know that it's worked in the past, it seems in our mind that that's the right thing to do. But then we wake up one day and we realize, ooh, the world has started to pass us by. So the first thing that you can do is start to look inward a little bit and identify, okay, why don't I want to make this change? Why don't I want to look at what's going on? And a lot of people don't like to do that internal work, but the truth is, if you're going to be a really good leader, that's one thing you have to do. You have to look inward and you have to do the hard things. And it's not, I'll give you 3 steps to being a great leader and you're going to be able to implement it tomorrow and do it. That's just not the way the world works. And I think that that's what we're being told a lot right now, especially if you look on social media, because we're told as we create social media to boil it down to the easiest things for people to get. Um, and and I understand that, and that, gives our views on, videos or whatever, a boost. But what it does is a disservice to people because it's making them think that everything's going to be a lot easier if you just boil it down to the essence of 3 things. But it's not. You have to do that hard work and you have to do the introspection and work around the fear. So once you get around the fear, a lot of those things become clearer and you'll know what the next steps are. And it's really just having conversations with people, finding out what other people are doing. It's okay to emulate other people, like you were talking about. Um, Earlier, because you learn new things from them because they're in a different place than you are, but just don't try to become a carbon copy of them because
Exactly.
they're them, you're you. Some of the things that they're doing is fantastic. I feel like I'm kind of going all over the place here, but I just really want to emphasize that the next step is getting past that fear and knowing that it's not going to be easy. But once you get to the point where you get past the fear and you realize where you can access your resources to learn new things, it becomes easier because that becomes a part of your life.
It was a great answer. And I know you felt like you were all over the place, but I could 100% see the line connecting all of it, the through line. And so, absolutely. And I didn't really think of it in those terms, but it does boil down to our fear. I
Yeah.
mean, think about any population, but especially let's talk about women for a moment.
Yeah.
Historically, if you don't show up perfectly, you're made fun of, you're bullied, you're ostracized. If you don't fit in, then you're out. And
Yeah.
so women have a fear of showing up because historically we've all been excluded, right?
Yes.
Or we've all been shamed, or we've all been so enter imposter syndrome.
Mhm.
We're not good enough. We're not worthy. We're not smart enough. We're not pretty enough. We're too fat. We're too thin. We're too loud. We're not loud enough. And that is what I think really leads to a lot of the, as you said it, being a carbon copy,
Mhm.
because we see someone that we're like, wow, they're amazing. I want to be them. And then we copy them and try to be them. When in fact, we can look to that person and say, wow, you're amazing. You're such an inspiration, and still show up as ourselves.
Absolutely. Well put. Well put.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
No, well put you. We're a good tag team here.
Yes, we are. I was thinking when you were saying that, you're one of the people that I look up to. And I've only known you for what, a little over a year now.
Yeah.
But I've watched you blaze such paths and do such great things and grow as an entrepreneur. And um, I've always thought of you as someone that I want to be more like because of your authenticity, not because I don't want to carbon copy you because you're you and I'm me, but
Right.
your authenticity is what I want to make sure that I infuse into who I am. is
Mm,
being authentic and being a real woman, and not trying to, I don't know, you welcome everybody and you build all women up. And I think that that's something that is getting to be more and more prevalent in our world right now, but there's not enough of it. So thank you for that.
absolutely. There's not enough of it. And wow, thank you so much for
Well,
the very high praise. And, that's the goal, right? Is to make everyone feel seen,
mhm,
to allow space for everyone to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel witnessed. And, I appreciate it so much. And it goes back to what you said in the very beginning is what's your why?
yeah,
Right? And the why is I have felt very unseen. I have felt very unheard. I have for I've not had a voice at times. I've not, and so I look at all of those experiences, my life's PhD, right? And
mhm,
how can I move forward in a way that's going to help other people who may be going through some of the same things that I've been through?
absolutely. Well, you're
And
definitely doing that, even when you don't realize it.
I appreciate you. Well, just, for what it's worth, you're doing it too. And, I want to just for a quick minute give a nod to my daughter because she's in her third year. She's just finishing up her third year of nursing school as we're speaking. And she went into nursing school saying pediatrics. I want to be a pediatric nurse, right? And now, as she's finishing up year three, she's feeling like she's either going to be oncology
Mhm.
or she's like, Mom, I just love me some old people. And she says she has so much fun with them and she loves them so much. And, it's amazing when you spend more quality time with older people, how much you can fall in love with them, right?
Absolutely.
And that can change your entire trajectory.
So true. That warms my heart to hear this. And yay, your daughter, that she loves her some old people. And you know what? No matter, I mean, I would love for her to go into our field, because if she loves them, then she is going to make such a great impact as a nurse. And we need really good nurses. That being said, no matter what she does, she is going to touch older people in anything she does. If she works in oncology, if she works in the ER, if she decides she wants to be a trauma nurse, if she, all the things, she can do anything and touch older people. And that just gives me goosebumps. I'm so excited for her.
Yeah, it's so exciting. I thought you would like to hear that.
Thank
Maybe
you.
I'll connect the two of you for a conversation.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So, one thing that you really, I'm pulling us back on track more. One thing that you really touched on is as you're becoming a leader,
Mhm.
as a woman, one of the first things that you want to look toward is your internal work. You
Yes.
need to do your internal work. And so, what do you feel like is a great jumping off point? Because just saying you need to work on yourself internally and start there gives me 50 ideas,
Mhm.
right? And
Yes.
so if I were coming to you as an administrator and saying I need some guidance, what would your first suggestion be?
Oh, great question. So the internal work, there probably is a lot of internal work that we all need to do. And especially like you said, as women, we have traditionally been put in a box, if you will. I kind of hesitate to say that, mostly because I think, in the last certain amount of years, that's grown and we aren't so much in the box, but we had been in the past. Our parents definitely, and our grandparents definitely had been, when the grandmas and the moms had been put in a box. And so they passed that on to us, right? And so I remember my mom being, she just didn't have the confidence. She was a wicked smart woman and she just never realized it. And that broke my heart for her. And some of the internal work that she could have done was taking a step back and just realizing where did I not show up, or where am I not showing up in ways that I would like to show up. So for example, a very specific situation could be if you're a nurse working in a nursing home, we'll just use that because I think that's a nice flow. Um, and you're really rising up as a leader, um, having really tough conversations with people to make sure that they're all, holding up the expectations of the organization and really serving that older person. Um, the internal work would be look back, where could I have shown up stronger in a conversation that I had? Or if I would have said what I was thinking in the back of my mind, in that situation, would the outcome have been had been different? And so you can journal on that. I mean, that's a really great place to start to journal, because when we are talking about imposter syndrome, and feeling like we're being held back, a lot of times we're actually holding ourselves back more than people around us are holding us back because we're afraid, or we feel like we might be a fraud. Fraud is really, I think, the essence of imposter syndrome. And when we can do that work internally and say, ask ourselves, where could we show up differently? Even asking the question, if I could do whatever it is in this world that would just set my heart on fire and make me, super excited about showing up to work every day, what exactly would that be? And what would the version of myself look like? And so when you kind of start to get those visions, then you can start working backwards to how you show up every day today. Because every day is a learning opportunity. And even if you don't do something right as you're on your journey, you can look at it and say, okay, well, that may not have been gone the way I wanted it to, but this is what I can do differently next time. And if you make sure that you're doing that different thing next time, you're going to always improve. And that's what we're made for as humans, is to continually improve and not compete against other women. We're competing against ourselves.
And keep that top of mind. We're not competing against other women. I mean, the goal that I feel like I try to portray into the world, and I know you do as well, is we're all in this together. How
Mhm.
can we support each other? How can I hold space for you to allow you to be the best version of yourself whilst I'm also doing the same thing, not in competition, but in collaboration? How can we link arms and help each other get up the hill a little easier, a little faster, you
Mhm.
know?
I
Yeah.
think I think again, it really is going to go back to your internal work, and that is, how would you like others to treat you? How would you like others to help you rise? And having that perspective also helps you then turn and do the same for another woman next to you. And so when we're all trying to lift each other up and we're all trying to help each other get to that next best level of themselves, because we do need support to get there, we're all rising together, like you said, and we're not fighting and we're not holding each other back. And I think that that's a really amazing way of lifting each other up. I recently spoke at a conference for women, and we were talking about imposter syndrome, and we were also talking about just using our voice, um, for younger leaders coming into the field. Like I did a breakout session for years 1 to 5, I think, in business, and we were talking a lot about using our voice. And something that came up that I just hadn't thought about, but it really makes a lot of sense, and that is the generation that's coming into the workforce right now, they were taught to have confidence because we taught them to have confidence, right? And so all of the things that we've put into our children and this next generation, they're starting to come true. But here's what's happening when they get into the workforce. They get into the workforce, they have this confidence, they want to try new things, they want to make new suggestions. And we've got people who've been in the workforce. I mean, we've got so many generations in the workforce now. It's the most that we've ever had. It feels like we keep saying that because people stay in the workforce longer and longer. Those people that are in the older generations, they don't exactly celebrate and support a person coming into the field or coming into the workforce with confidence, because they have spent so long trying to either overcome their own confidence, or they've never actually focused on their confidence. They just keep doing the same thing over and over. And so their job in their mind is to tear down these kids so that they understand what the workforce is really like. Well, the workforce is changing, right? So we're going to have to put into those kids and then again do our own internal work to work through some of those things. Because when you come to the end of your life, do you really want to come to the end of your life with lack of confidence? Or do you want to look back and say, I overcame that confidence and I am damn proud of myself for doing that?
Absolutely. And, the thing that came to mind through all of this is it goes back to what you said earlier about connection.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're having so many generations and age groups in the workforce now, the thing that will tie them all together so they work at their best is connection. How, as a new person, can you use your voice and bring your ideas? And how can you, as the older worker, maybe open your mind to some of those ideas whilst also guiding the new person in the industry or in the field that you've spent your life curating,
Yeah.
right? And so it goes back to, really, I would say, creating connection between all the different levels.
Yes, absolutely. And it kind of weaves in, thinking back to when you said that your daughter is really interested in older people. Um, she is the next generation that's coming up, right? And she's going to come into the workforce with a lot more confidence than you or I maybe entered our workforce experiences. And what she can do to create connection is ask questions. And what the older person can do, or that somebody more established in the field can do, can ask questions. And the goal is to find out about each other and learn about each other and not make assumptions that, the younger person coming into the workforce has all these what's the word I hear all the time from our field? It's they feel entitled.
Yeah.
Feel entitled when they get into the workforce. They should have da 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 da. Well, shouldn't we have had that when we got into the workforce, right? But we didn't, and so we had to, blaze our own path, and so we still may not have that. But asking questions and connecting with other people and being just genuinely curious. I think curiosity is a huge, huge thing that we can incorporate into our leadership that helps us to grow and really helps us to stand out, is just to find out more about the people around us. And then you'll know how to support them. And then if you're curious, it's going to hopefully encourage others around you to be curious. And again, we're rising. But we really can't feel like we can do that until we look inward and get past some of the things. That's becoming the theme of what I'm talking about here today, I guess. That's not normally what I say, but it really it really is true. If we can't do that hard work on ourselves, we're not going to show up like the world needs us to.
Absolutely. And so much of what you're saying, truly, it comes back to leading with confidence and doing that internal work so you build the confidence. Because, like you said, whilst the older generation might look at the newbies in the workforce and say they're so entitled because they want X, Y, and Z. And, like you said, well, shouldn't we have had that too? So are we going to deny that to the new people just to
Yes.
be stubborn and say, well, if I didn't have it, you can't have it either?
Mhm.
How
That's how
about Yes. And how about, like you said, getting curious? You know, why do you feel like you should have this starting out and all of those things? And as the new person going into the workforce, getting curious. How did you feel starting out when you didn't have this? How did you feel starting out when you, whatever it was, right? And so having a curious conversation versus having a judgmental conversation and a fixed mindset of this is the way it should be on either side, right?
Absolutely.
Because either side could be coming at it with entitlement.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like how you said that, both either side. Years ago, I went through a leadership training that we talked about this concept of appreciative inquiry. And at the moment, I can't think of all the details that go around that, but just the words appreciative inquiry. As you're asking questions, ask it in a way, in a manner where you genuinely want to know more and you appreciate, you're going to appreciate the answer, not in a judgmental way. We so often show up, judging others maybe on purpose and maybe not on purpose. Maybe that's just what we've been around, and that's just the way we ask questions and we don't think about how we're coming off. But appreciative inquiry and um, positive curiosity and not judging. And going back again, because this is becoming my theme in this conversation, when you're looking inward at yourself and asking yourself some of the questions that we've talked about today, appreciative inquiry, and don't judge your answers. Don't judge the question. Um, Judging us is why we have the lack of confidence that we have had in the past. So ask it without judgment and figure out what the answer is without judgment and see where that takes you, because it will lift you. It will lift your spirit. And then, yeah, that.
It's so good. It's so good. It's anyone can be a leader. I just want to put that out there.
Absolutely.
Anyone can be a leader. All it takes is doing the inner work, building your confidence, and being courageous enough to say, you know what? I know just maybe 1% more than someone else. So, how can I help them to improve by knowing what I know? You don't have to be able to solve all the world's problems to be a leader. You just have to be one step ahead or two steps ahead of the person coming behind you. And so, as a new person coming into an industry, you have an opportunity to be a leader just by saying, look, I know the industry has always done it this way, and I've
Mhm.
learned this new way. Can we look at it? And as a seasoned veteran in an industry, you have an opportunity to be a leader and say, listen, I know you have these amazing ideas. Let's talk about why that looks like it could work and why it looks like it might not work and how we can change it and see if we can still make it work with a few tweaks
Yes. And together.
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 Connection.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well
Yeah.
put. Well
Mm.
put.
I have chills all over. With most of my guests, I feel like there comes a certain point in the conversation where it just hits my core so deeply that I just am covered in chills and I know it's truth,
Oh,
right? And all of that, everything that you've said today is truth. You
thank
have the experience, you've seen so many different things, within the industry, within your own journey that has brought you to this amazing, beautiful place where you're helping others. And so everything you said, I know you've earned the right to say it.
oh, thank you. I have.
Yeah.
And I will say this, because we've kind of come through, the conversation about imposter syndrome and overcoming that. I was in a situation where I had somebody that I worked with quite a bit who would speak over me.
Mm.
When I would be in meetings or whatever, the person would speak over me and um, interject all the time with these meetings. And I let it get to me and I let it hold me back so bad that I didn't get a job I had been working for a really, really long time. And it, I can't say it crushed me, but in the moment I was very, very upset. And I thought I deserved that because I had worked so hard for it. But now that I'm about a year and a half out from all of that, I look back and I think, you know what, that was the biggest favor that anybody could have given me because um, I now have found my voice in a way that maybe I should have in the past. Um, but I let other people define what my success looked like for me and not define it for myself. And I'm a late bloomer in that, I guess I would say. But for anybody that's out there listening, if you have a situation like that going on in your life, if that's happening or has happened, just remember that nobody defines you. Nobody defines you but you. And once you realize that truth, the sky is the limit for you. You can just explode into all kinds of things because that gives you the confidence and it takes that fraud away. Nobody defines your confidence but you.
That's right. Absolutely. I am sorry that happened to you, but at the same time, like you said, it was a gift.
It was,
And
yeah.
that is how we can look at things that happen like that and say, where's the lesson? Right. And I just want to go back a little bit. And, you said maybe I should have been able to use my voice at that time. There's no should, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when we should, we're putting judgment on ourselves.
Yes.
And so instead of saying I should have, you can say something like, had I known how to use my voice, I would have done it differently, but I didn't. And look at where it's brought me now. And now I've been through that experience and I can use that experience to help others.
Yeah.
And maybe they won't be what you call a late bloomer in their confidence. They'll be able to learn those lessons just a little bit earlier because you're using your voice now to reach them.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for putting it in that perspective.
As a
But-
coach, when I went through my coach training certification, one of the things they talked about is like you were talking about appreciative inquiry and positive curiosity and asking questions, always asking the next question, but asking with a who, a what, a when, a where, and a how. Okay, but what about why? Well,
yeah.
why they taught was, you need to use that very carefully because when you ask why, whether it's of yourself or of someone else, it can come across as very judgmental. Well, why did you do
Ooh,
that? And then immediately the person is put on the defensive,
that is great point.
right? Why didn't you already speak up for yourself? I don't know, right? No, why? Okay, it didn't feel good not to speak up for yourself. How could you have done it differently?
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah. And we do that to ourselves most of all, I have found.
Yes. And you said that, and I think I asked my daughter this morning before school, why didn't you get your backpack ready in time? So she wasn't running out the door. Well, her answer is not going to be what I want it to be. She felt judged in the moment. So, yeah, we do it with our kids too. We do it without thinking about it because we're you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And,
I'm glad you
you
brought
know,
that.
just to pull up what you just said, we do it without thinking about it. And so this is the reminder then to be more mindful,
Yeah.
right? Because words, they really do make a difference for ourselves and for other people. And so being more mindful of having positive curiosity, appreciative inquiry, using words and using a tone of voice
Mhm.
that really just holds space for someone versus immediately putting someone on the defensive.
Yeah,
Because now suddenly this is not a productive conversation.
right. Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
You know, it we're learning more and more about how our brain works as time goes on because there's so many studies and so much research going on about our brains. But one thing that we're learning more and more is that the words that we say to ourselves are really important because our brain believes them. So when I said I should have spoken up more, um, that was the negative that I was putting into my brain. And I find myself today putting a lot more positives. Like, I can do this. I can do whatever it is that I want to do. Um, I just need to learn it, right? So, I can learn this, just the I cans and saying the positive things to ourselves instead of the negative things or beating ourselves up when something doesn't go right. It's, well, what can I learn from that? How can I do better? So we can rewire our brain very easily by saying over and over positive things to ourselves. I can speak up in that meeting. I can bring my idea forward. I can ask questions and learn about where this person is coming from. And so the more that we do that, the more we overcome our imposter syndrome and our um, just not being confident enough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's absolutely true. And it's not only the words that we say, it's also the words that we think.
Ooh.
Your brain believes everything it hears you say, and it believes every thought that you have.
Mhm.
And so, again, just to mirror what you said, it's so important to practice positive affirmations, to practice phrases that are going to build you up versus cut you down,
Yeah,
make you feel shame, make you feel unworthy.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the more you can do that for yourself, the more that's going to reflect out into the world. Because, if I've always told my kids when they were going through school and in life in general, if someone, say, cuts you off in traffic, instead of yelling at them or cursing at them or whatever you would do, think, wow, I wonder why they're in such a hurry. Legitimately, what if their child was in an accident and they're rushing to the hospital?
Yeah.
What if they've just had a terrible day at work and their mind is just someplace else? Right. And so being curious and being willing to see that there is another side and we don't know everything about everyone.
Right. We
Yeah.
there's no way we truly can know everything about everyone.
No, no. And so I appreciate your appreciative inquiry and your really turning our lens inward and starting there, because when we can build ourselves up, then we're more able to build up other people.
Yeah. And that is kind of the secret to filling your cup back up.
Yeah.
When you say that your cup is empty and you just don't have anything to give to anyone else, turning inward and really looking at some of those things that have drained our cup, and walking through that and thinking through how it became a reality, how um, you are showing up the way you are, your cup starts to fill up. And when you can consistently find it within yourself to look within and to just compete against yourself and be better every time, your cup starts to overflow.
So good. So I know that you have something that you want to offer listeners. And what is that?
I have a free guidebook for about imposter syndrome. And it really mirrors nicely with the conversation today because if you download that guidebook, it's going to ask you some questions that you can look inwardly about and about how your imposter syndrome shows up. And it's going to give you kind of a challenge, actually, a 60-day challenge on how to overcome that. And so for the first 30 days, it'll walk you through how to identify imposter syndrome, And then the next 30 days, so for the total of 60 days, it'll help you not only identify it, but be able to switch the conversation in your mind in the moment so that it doesn't hold you back.
That's
So
amazing. What a
totally,
great first step.
yeah.
What a great first step. So there is actually a link in show notes so you can download your free guide to overcome imposter syndrome with Dana Weaver. And how can everyone find you and get a hold of you when they're just blown away by this conversation?
Well, my company is called Weaver Solutions LLC, and I do all my social media through Weaver Solutions. So it's just at Weaver Solutions LLC, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm also on YouTube. I have my own YouTube channel as well called Next Level Leadership, and you can just find it at Weaver Solutions LLC. And then my website is weaversolutionsllc.com.
Amazing. Dana, thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing not only all your wisdom, all your leadership, but also all your heart.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure to talk with you today and look at things. I love conversations and finding out how I can grow from every conversation. And I definitely will from this one. So thank you for having me.
How much better is life and business when you know people like Dana? She inspires others to be the best versions of themselves, and that is powerful. If you're ready to empower yourself, save your seat in our 5-hour immersive workshop, Wealth Mindset Mastery, using the link in show notes. There are only 6 spaces, and I truly believe that this workshop has the power to change lives. I can't wait to guide you through this transformative journey, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Remember, the universe is abundant and success is your birthright. Let's align, elevate, and thrive together, one conversation at a time. Good night. Thank you for being in our Women Finding Clarity community. If you're enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite listening platform and share it with someone you know so they can find clarity from the conversation as well. Remember, the universe is abundant and success is your birthright. Let's align, elevate, and thrive together, one conversation at a time. See you next week.